Hi there, Caillou here, and today, I'm going to tell you the fun facts about Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So, back in 1993, Mike Lazzo, who had just gotten promoted to head of programming at Cartoon Network, wanted to create an original program for the channel. During the early years, they strictly only aired reruns of old cartoons made by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, Warner Brothers, and Hanna-Barbera. But Mike Lazzo and Cartoon Network didn't have the money to create a new show. And although they bought the rights to all Hanna-Barbera characters, they couldn't use all of them the way they want to use them. The ones they know Cartoon Network couldn't use Alliance cartoons such as Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, the Flintstones, and the Jetsons. Turner gave a list characters that they could use such as Penelope Pitstop, Wacky Races, C-Lab, and Space Ghost. Initially, Cartoon Network decided that they were going to make a new Wacky Races cartoon. The idea was they were going to take all the episodes and put them all into one to make a long race. It was going to be called Wacky Races Coast to Coast. At night time, Mike Lazzo had a fever dream about Space Ghost being on the talk show host. The next morning at Cartoon Network studio, Mike tells the employees and animators to change the idea, and he said to them,
"Change the plans, everyone. The show is gonna be called Space Ghost Coast to Coast."
All the animators and writers decide to scrap the idea about Wacky Races Coast to Coast, and they begin the production of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. During the production of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Space Ghost was originally voiced by Andy Merrill, who is the voice of Brack, assembled a proof of concept test pilot in 1993, using archival footage of Denzel Washington. The pilot never aired on TV, but editing version later appeared on DVD. The second pilot was developed, interviewing Emma Thompson and Chris Gore. Gary Owens, who originally voiced Space Ghost in 1966 Hanna-Barbera cartoon show, portrayed the character for the pilot. George Lowe was eventually cast as Space Ghost when Coast to Coast was officially picked up. Gary Owens later provided a cameo appearances on the show. By the time in 1994, Space Ghost Coast to Coast was born. Hey, you know what they say, the rest of history.